So, hi everybody and welcome back to C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video number 25, and in this video we continue with the database, but before we can continue we have to learn a new operator, which is the increment operator, which I have not introduced you there. Let's go here. We learned already about operators, the plus, the minus, and multiplication, division, and so on, some comparison. This one we skipped so far, and the bitwise anyway skip, and the assignment operator. So, and today we learn in the section of arithmetic operators this increment operator. Actually, it is very easy, but very important to know how to use. So, what is the increment operator? It is just two plus signs in front or two minus signs in front or on the back side. Two plus signs or two minus signs on the back side. But it's very simple, but we have to understand this and use it right. So, let's try to understand what this increment operator does, or decrement operator. And for that I make an example, but before I make an example, let me say what increment means. It will just add +1 to the variable and not more and not less. Or decrement, it will just -1 to the variable, not more and not less, which means we can only use them here at this one, for example. Not only for this one, but in this case we will use it for int. It's very easy, and for starters very you can follow easy along. Later, for example, you see here some strange examples that this kind of examples don't make. We will make int very simple examples, and let me show you what I mean. So I said we make it with int variable, so I created here two variables and I assigned it the 0 as a default value. One I called int postfix increment, which means postfix. Oh, let me go here one more time. Here is increment after, and prefix means increment before. And of course that would work also with decrement, but let's make here first just increment, and the other decrement is the same, only other way around. So we start with these two numbers. Right now they are just normal variables, and I said this operator, if we use, they will just add 1 to the variable. So with other words, I can take now this variable postfix increment number, and because it's postfix I should write it ++ behind, and just so. And then I can just print this number out now as the day, : say out. We have this, oops, say out, and we use the postfix increment number here. And of course, we write also a new line for the next one. So, and you will see now when I start this program, it is just adding one number and nothing more. It was from 0 to 1. And the same goes with the prefix increment. So let's make here the same thing here. Let's write ++ prefix increment, and I just added now +1 to this int number. And if I print this one else out, let's copy this fast, and we get prefix number. And we see when I save this and start the program, we get also just 1. So far so nice. But what is then the big difference about a postfix increment and a prefix increment? And the important thing to know is here that this postfix increment will increment after it used the variable, which means you use first the variable, which is right now the value of the variable first, and then increment the value later. And in the prefix increment, you use the you increment the value first and then use the variable. So that's when I explain that, it makes no sense, but let me show you this with our output. We can use this increment or any operators also in our output. So for example, here I have postfix increment, right? And let's uncomment this both. So we start with 0, 0. Okay, we know that we start with 0, 0. And I said postfix increment means, first of all, we have to make the plus signs here. Now we have our postfix increment. And that means I use first the variable and then I increment. And what we expect it comes out just 0, 0. And this one was, I wanted first this one, but okay. So the thing is here, it used here first the value of postfix increment, which is 0, and then it incremented this value. Because when I print this one more time out, let me copy this one. Oh, Control Z. Here, copy this one and paste here, but without an increment, just the variable. If I just print out the variable after this one, and we will see that the number is 1. This one is now 1. Okay, one more thing. Let's keep this one here, and let's make this prefix increment here. Here I have a prefix increment, which means I increment first. Of course, I should increment it also first. And now what we expect is, here we had 0, right? And here we will have, now we will see what we have. We start, and yes, it is 1, because we have first used the value. The value is here 0, but this one means +1, and then use the variable. Okay, so that's a little bit, yeah, this example is a little bit strange, but this one is very important later. It is just +1, and that works also with decrement. If we use here minus minus, then we have to write there decrement. Let's go for minus minus, and let's write here decrement, but I have to write here decrement as well. Decrement, and cos, this one we don't need. So let's see what happens here now. And what we expect is that here it starts with 0, it will take 0, and after it takes 0, it will print out the 0, and then it will decrement the value. And yes, we have again 0, but the variable name is now -1. And we can show this as the day out. And that's very important, that this one is not, oh, come, all right. And yeah, also this one. So this one is very important that you know, even it prints out 0 here, it is decremented later, and this variable name is -1. If you use decrement and increment, of course. So you see it is -1 afterwards. So let me show you one more thing. This decrement operator and this increment operator actually are only shortcuts. Shortcut for what? So they have said, any programmer said, or any compile builder said, or whatever, whoever said, we are using this decrement and increment and so on so much that we want to shorten it, because this decrement minus minus is the same as if you would write decrement, decrement what's postfix? Okay, increment int. Let's do this one also change a little bit. Okay, the same as if you will write the variable name and then assign it, and again use the variable name again, decrement, and make just -1 in this case. Because this one is the real normal way to write this minus, and they said this one is too long because we need it all time. -1 + 1 is one operation which happens so much in programming. They said we can shorten this up, we make it less, and they have found this minus or plus. The plus is equivalent when you use, for example, this plus prefix increment. Then the other way around. This is the shortcut for let's see. Important is here, careful about this one. This one is the same like here, but they used first the value, right? That's very important if it's per prefix. And let's write it here too. Prefix increment and assign prefix increment number and plus. This one is exactly the same as this one here. The only difference is what you have to be careful if it's in front or if it's after. That's very important about this operator, and this operator we will need later, most time in for loops. That's why I introduced you that. And in the next video I will use a for loop to make this database which we have on top a little bit more easy, because we have here one big problem in our database, and that is the output is very hard to do. Try to put this database what we wrote last time with, let's say 10 entries out, but a database contains normally, let's say, about thousands or 100,000 or millions or even more datas, and that's crazy if you would write this all by hand. That's why we will introduce in the next video the loops, and this increment is needed for these loops because they use it. It's a very shortcut and it makes easier. So that said, I stop the video and see you in the next. Bye.